What's up, guys? Dakota from CGL Fishing here. Today I'm going to go over how I do my rod and reel maintenance. I'm starting off with the reel. Just show you guys what I do when I need to do it. I don't do it very often. Most of the time, honestly, I just rinse everything off with water. However, I went beach fishing. I kind of got some stuff, a little salt water in it, and I don't want to ruin it, so I'm going to do some more maintenance. And plus, this is getting brand new line, which is why the line is off. Just so you know, I don't normally take the line off. So this is my KastKing Sharky 2. It's a really nice reel. It's actually what got me going on KastKing, but it is a little bit more difficult to take apart, so it's probably not the best one for this video, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, alright, so taking the reel, the first thing is to take off the spool. So twist this until it comes off. Takes it a minute. Alright, and this is kind of sealed, so you got this little rubber washer around it. Then you can take that off. Still got some of the old grease and oil on it. What we're going to do is we're just going to wipe this out with a paper towel. Try to get in there and get as much out as we can. And then we can take a the Q-tip to kind of get some of those harder to reach edges. Now when we were doing that, the little line holder piece fell out, and that's easy enough. We'll just slide it back in. Sorry guys. I would be out fishing today. The weather's actually nice for it, but I got a little bit of a cold, and I wasn't feeling up to it, to be honest. Nothing to say I won't go later this week. This is a little harder to put back in than I thought. I've never had this piece fall out, so there's that. And that's reinstalled. So let's not knock that out again. Anyway though, just wiping everything off is the most important thing. That's really caked up on there from years of the same line. I don't change line very often, so. Use this little brush so we can get it off. Jeez, it's actually on there really good, guys. I may not be able to just get this off with Alright, so we got a small bowl of plain old water. These magic erasers work a little bit better when wet. Oh yeah, should have started with that. Magic eraser is your friend, guys. This is just a normal magic eraser. I actually use them to clean my fish tank because they have no chemicals on them. I've never used the version that has the chemicals on it. Don't really think it's necessary. But since we've got it taken apart and we've got some water on here, we're just going to go ahead and wipe everything off while we have it taken apart. Water on there. Make this thing look like it's fresh and new-ish. Now I'm not going to do the inside because I don't want to strip it down quite that bare. I like having a little bit of oil in there. It's not like there's anything bad in there. You can see we cleaned it out pretty good. And then I'll just dry this off. Look at that, looking like new. This will make it cast better too, because now you don't have that rough edge right here that's kind of grabbing at your line, it's nice and smooth again. It'll definitely help with castability. That's one thing I've noticed with this one recently is it's not casting quite as smooth as it used to. Couple nicks in the finish right there. Again, shouldn't be a big deal. It's still working good. It just, you definitely could tell it wasn't casting quite like it used to. So it needed a little work and it needed a new line. It had the same line on it for, gosh, well over a year. All right, well then looking at this, I'm just gonna do the same thing in here. I'm gonna wipe this off. Your drag bearings, you're not really trying to get stuff on them. It has a little bit on there. I'm just kind of wiping off. Wiping all this out. Using the Q-tip, and there's gobs of grease right in here usually. That's okay, you want that. That's protecting all of your internals. Especially if you're going to be around salt water. You want everything protected pretty well, so. Alright. Once we've done that, we're going to take our wet magic eraser. Just wipe everything off again. You don't have to do this. I'm doing this because I kind of want it to look shiny and new. Being a little bit over the top here, guys. This thing was overdue for some real TLC anyway, so it's alright. This has been one of my favorite reels through the years, and if anything ever happens to it, I will probably replace it with the Sharky 3 because I've loved it that much. This thing has been through a lot. It's been well loved, if not always given the best treatment. I didn't even know reel maintenance was a thing until I had this for a while. So you see everything's running smooth. All right, so now we've done the basic, wipe everything down. Everything's relatively clean now. Now we want to make sure everything's well oiled and everything like that. So I've got a couple things here. I've got my multi-pliers that have a screwdriver. The kit that I use, oh, by the way, this is the Ardent Real Cleaning Kit. Not expensive at all. I think it was maybe 20 bucks, and it's got enough stuff in there to last you a while. I'll try to find a link for that for you guys. But it comes with a little screwdriver. The little screwdriver is a little bit too sharp pointed for most reels that I've dealt with. So I use my multi-pliers. Now I'm not undoing this all the way. I'm just loosening it up. This is your line bearing, right? So your line runs on this. Everything should be relatively dry at this point, and it is. So this reel butter comes in the kit. We're going to use a little bit of this on that. So we're going to drop it. You're going to end up dropping it on right on that edge. You're trying to get it to go up inside there, and you can see it soak in. I'll do a little bit on this side too. It's going to go over it a little bit. And then you can take something and just spin it. So push it a few times to spin it, which will get everything worked in there. Then tighten that back down. Remember not to over tighten when you do that. You just want it tight enough. And then you can see, kind of run it again. It moves like butter. Okay? And then you're just going to continue to do that kind of in all these little spots. I wouldn't recommend taking anything all the way apart unless you know how to put it back together. Like I said, this one's a little bit difficult, so I'm going to be extra careful not to take it apart too much. So I dropped a few drops in there. Open and close it, and then do that, which again, be careful. I forgot, that's what can mess this one up. Hopefully it works. Now tighten it back down before you do that. Okay. Work it this way several times to get that lubricant in there. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. Just loosen it a couple turns until there's a small gap. Drop a little bit of this in there. And we'll close it back up. And there you go, you can see it still works. So open it up, turn it, and it doesn't work all the time. There we go. Sometimes something like that might happen. We'll wipe a little bit of this extra excess off. And if it does, you just gotta be ready to pull it back apart slightly if need be. Now, I can feel it kind of sticking a little bit. I might have just over tightened a little bit. Let's see. There we go. And this is why you don't want to over tighten those, because it's gotta have some freedom to work. So just that fixed that. Now I'll take this handle piece off. This is gonna need the least amount of maintenance usually. It's pretty well sealed, at least for me anyway. It needs the least amount. Pull it out. You can see all the bearings in there. Now all I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to drop a couple drops on both ends. Let it work its way through. I'll put it back together. Look at her roll. Working real good. Now we get to the internals here. So your backside here where your bearings are, you can drop a couple drops. I don't know that I did that last time, but I'm gonna do it this time. And you can kind of see it spreading throughout that crevice. Turn it a little bit. We'll keep it upside down and give it a couple spins. Again, that works all that in there. Lets all that stuff get worked in there. All right, now getting to the top side here. So on the top side, again, we've wiped everything off. We'll wipe it off a little bit more. We want to make sure we've gotten the majority of any gunk off. If you had it properly lubed and all that before, you shouldn't have any issues. You know, I don't try to strip it all the way down every time. If it's the first time you've ever cleaned it, you might want to strip it down a little bit more. Yeah, so you're not trying to get all this gunk out unless you've never had any real maintenance done maybe, and you want to start fresh, but it's going to take a lot of work. All right, now that's done, you're going to take this real butter, which is real grease. One thing I noticed about this, it doesn't go through the tube very well, and it actually broke out the back. Still works, it's just a little bit more difficult to use. And all you're going to do is take this and smear it down in here. So over any moving points, over any points that you don't want water intrusion into. Smear it in there, smear it on the shaft a little bit, and then work it a few times to let it mix, you know, coat the shaft real good. And you come back through and wipe some of the excess out. You want to try to keep most of this off of your drag bearings. Otherwise they'll slip, and you don't want to do that. So yeah, it looks coming pretty well. Like I said, I might put a little tiny bit more right down on the end of the shaft. I'm just going to use a new Q-tip. All of my gear is used for both fresh and salt water, so I don't have, you know, different gear for salt water for the most part. So everything kind of gets a little extra. And there we go. So that's done. Now we're gonna do the same thing up here with these bearings. So these bearings are a little bit different, as you can tell. Because these are actually just small little bearings, we're gonna put a little drop of oil on each one. And then just spin it to let it get in there, hopefully. Do one below, but the one below we gotta be a little careful because we don't want to get it on our drag washers if we can avoid it. And there we go. Give it a good spin. Now I don't think it's, you know, a huge deal if you get on your drag washer, but still not something we want to do if we can avoid it. I'm gonna dab just a tiny bit of this off. So we got a little bit of excess on there. Okay. And then we're gonna put a little bit of that grease. Very little bit on this top part here. Try to coat it pretty well. Just a light coat. All right. And then this, since this is gonna be a moving part, we're gonna coat it in some grease. Mainly on the inside here. You can see where it's wearing a little bit right here, so we're gonna coat that. Go all inside here. And this grease is not necessarily just for lubrication, it's also for making sure that it's got a nice protective layer on it. So that should be done there. Now we're gonna put it on there and spin it a few times. On the top here, we'll put a little bit of grease, but not much. Q-tips are getting beat up pretty good. Again, just a tiny, tiny bit. Just to keep everything kind of protected. All right, and this looks pretty good. It's just a plastic and rubber cap for the most part. Just wipe a little of that debris off that piece and then screw it on. Got a good action on it. Take it down a little bit so we can test our drag. Still hear the drag. Sounds good. Works great. So we'll wipe off any excess just because I don't want to get coated every time I touch it. And there's that, guys. That is the maintenance I do on the reel. This one's not going to get put back on all the way together because, like I said, I'm going to be putting some new braid on here. I'm going to try the KastKing brand braid. Going to use the KastKing Super Slick, I'm sorry, I think it's called Silky 8. I'll let you guys know how that works when I get it. Maybe I'll do a short video on how to spool one up or how I spool it up. I'm sure there's a better way, but yep. And now on to the rod. This is a one-piece Ugly Stik 7-foot medium heavy rod. It's gonna be hard for me to show you everything just because it's so long. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you what I do with the eyelets. So the main thing is, again, wipe everything off. Take some paper towel on the inside of your eyelets and put some pressure on it and really give it a good kind of scrub. Sorry, I got out of the camera there. One thing I love about these is these are one-piece eyes. They're not the two-piece that fall apart on you. They're stainless steel. They do seem to hold up really well. So as you can see right there, I mean, that still looks, I don't know if it's focusing for you, but it still looks really good. It's a little bit, you know, worn in a few places, but not bad. I will take the magic eraser on this and just kind of rub it on the inside. Magic eraser's got just a slight, what do you call it, abrasiveness to make sure that any buildup is off. I try not to hook hooks on these anymore when I can avoid it. Not gonna say it never happens, but I try to avoid it. Try to use either the actual little holder clip right there, or I'll hook it on here if I can't do that. These are the best rods you can get, in my opinion. These are awesome rods for most of what everybody would use them for. So, but yeah, anyway, I'm just going to repeat the same process going all the way down the rod, making sure that each eyelet is well scrubbed, and then I take the magic eraser to it. I will show you guys the front eyelet. I'll scrub it and all that, but you will notice in here there's a lot of grooves worn into the metal. Hopefully it's focusing. That's from using braided line. It's just one of the downsides of braid is it does wear it, but this rod is several years old, it's been used for a while, been abused for a while, and it still works fine even with these slight indentions worn in them. So anyway guys, that's it for rod and reel maintenance for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something from it. You can apply to your own gear. I didn't realize until recently that there was maintenance like this to be done, and once I discovered that and did the maintenance, I found that my gear felt brand new. Instead of having to replace gear, I felt good with what I had. So hope you guys can take this and do it to your gear and feel like you got brand new gear too. If you guys like this content, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out to keep growing the channel. And once we get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to do a giveaway for you guys. We're about 85 now, so we're not too far away, and I'll put more details on that once we get there. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day, and I will catch you guys on the next one.